Code Vein 2 is the follow-up to 2019's Code Vein, and at the time, Code Vein was kind of a novel idea. It was a Souls-like game, but with a more anime aesthetic coming from Bandai Namco, which of course is the publisher of the Dark Souls and Elden Ring games. So it was pretty interesting to see this game come out, and now here we are many years later, we have a follow-up in Code Vein 2, and if Code Vein 1 was following along the footsteps of Dark Souls, then you could say that Code Vein 2 is clearly following in the footsteps of Elden Ring with its more open world design. But does it pull it off? Before we get into that, there's two quick things. First of all, I want to thank Bandai Namco for providing me a code and early access to this game so I could make this video for you guys. And second, if you enjoy this video, if you've enjoyed my content and all so far, if you could hit me with a subscription, I would really appreciate it. So I played Code Vein 2 about 15 hours or so, and so while I haven't beaten it, I think I've played enough to give you guys some general thoughts. This isn't any kind of formal review, it's just you're interested in Code Vein 2, I've played it, let me tell you about it. So let's start off with some of the things I really like about this. First of all, the character creator in this game is very, very in-depth, and you can either make the waifu or the husbando of your dreams that you can play as in Code Vein 2, and you can switch it up at any time when you play, which is cool. I've always been a fan of fashion souls in the different Souls-like games, and this game really leans into that, and in a way that I really like too, in that this game doesn't really have aesthetic armor. You can kind of wear whatever you want, and it's not going to affect your gameplay at all, and so you can look however you want and not worry about that kind of thing. So, and another thing about the character creator, because this is a stickler of mine, is I hate it when you create a character and then in-game they look completely different somehow than what you made in the character creator. That's not the case here. I was very pleased when I made my character that they looked the same in-game. Talking about you, Monster Hunter. So as I said at the top of this video, Code Vein 2 is now open world, and I probably should have said this earlier, but I've played a little bit of the first Code Vein and never fully beat it, or even probably played that much of it. It didn't really speak to me at the time. And Code Vein 2 is all about its open world, and specifically a time travel mechanic where you are in a post-apocalypse, and you must travel back in time in order to meet various heroes and help them along their journey. So it's cool to be able to see parts of the environment that are really messed up, and then you go back in time and they're still messed up, but they're less messed up, and it's interesting to see how they changed throughout time. And of course, to get around in an open world, you need some kind of transportation. And in this game, you have a motorcycle that you can summon on command. And it's not great. It's not bad. It's serviceable. It doesn't feel quite right when you're going around the map. It feels a little bit glidey. At some points, maybe a little bit janky, but not terrible. I find myself more so either walking or fast traveling, but sometimes when you need that long distance, I do summon the motorcycle, and it's fine. I wish it was better because it looks so cool. I want to be able to do Akira slides, but there's something about it. Like I said, it's a little floaty, and you get caught on things quite often. So, and then you get hit by enemies. I mean, it's kind of like Elden Ring in that, which I'm going to be making a lot of Elden Ring comparisons in this video because this game is definitely trying to do a lot of Elden Ring things. But yeah, the vehicle, the car could be a little better. So you're playing Code Vein 2 probably for the combat. This is a Souls-like in general, and I think that's where Code Vein is quite unique. As I mentioned earlier, there isn't armor aesthetic per se, but there is forma and blood codes which allow you to change your stats based on your playstyle. Part of this too is you have like a special ability called a jail, and you can change out what different jails you like, and these let you fill up your resources in order to use your special abilities. Your special abilities are tied to your weapons, and you can change these out as you find them throughout the game. But as you use abilities, you use up this stat, and then you have to regain it by using these jails. It can be a bit much at first, but I really like the flexibility to it where different weapons have different special abilities. I like that you can change them out, and it's kind of a give and pull, making sure you don't overuse them and run out of resources. But I think the most unique thing is the way it handles your partners in the game. So you have two options. You can either have your partner out with you in combat, so that's good when you're dealing with multiple enemies, or you can kind of like absorb them and then you get a stat boost, which is really nice for certain bosses, or if you just prefer playing solo. This game does have a nice revive mechanic where if you do lose all your health, you can get revived by your partner, and then they have a cooldown. And once that cooldown comes back, then you'll get those buffs, or the partner will come back, and then you could also potentially die again and get revised. Though I'm pretty sure that every time you die, it takes a little bit longer for them to revive. So like I said, there is a ton of customization to this combat. I feel like I barely scratched the surface. There's so many different weapon types, different partners, and ways that you can really change it to play how you want to play. I'm not going to touch on the story too much because I feel like I don't have quite the right context coming from Code Vein 1. And I think the most interesting part probably is the time mechanic, where you go back in time and meet specific characters that end up becoming your partner that fight with you in battle. So to get to some of the stuff that maybe isn't so good about Code Vein 2 is the open world is, like I said, the biggest thing about this game probably. And the open world is just simply not really all that interesting. I find that I'm going from point A to point B, and while there may be some enemies scattered about, or there's like a mini dungeon or something, I didn't get that sense of like immersive gameplay going around. It kind of feels like just a giant level with different points that you go to. There are things to find, of course. One of the main things you're going to be looking for out in the open world is the ability to upgrade your heals. You'll find a currency that gives you more healing items. You also need to go to a cathedral in order to get a currency that lets you have more healing. It's not a vial, but you know what I mean, more sets of healing. So the character creator is good. The combat is really interesting. The open world is a little bit so-so, but this game does have a major problem for me. This game just simply does not run very well. Consistently, while you're playing, particularly in the open world, and it is jittery. There's even a couple instances where my game turned into a slideshow. Not very often, like once or twice, but overall, the frame rate just is all over the place in this game. It also, at certain points, just looks really odd, and I think that's probably because there is a dynamic lighting system to this game, because there is a day-night cycle, and it just doesn't look quite right. There's also a lot of texture pop in the cutscenes in particular that are pretty noticeable. But most importantly, it does come down to that frame rate, where inside indoor areas and dungeons, you probably will get usually a consistent 60 FPS, but even there, it's not guaranteed. And yeah, forget about it in the open world. It's going to be well outside of, if you have a nicer TV, the VRR window. And so it's a real damper to the experience in a game like this. And there was one patch during the review period, but it didn't make much of a difference. I don't know if there's going to be a day one patch that would fix some of these issues, but as of right now, I really can't recommend playing this on PlayStation, at least. Maybe it's better on PC. This is an Unreal Engine game, so I'm a little skeptical about it there too. One thing that did bother me too when I was playing this game is that there was one boss in particular that got repeated multiple times within the first 15 hours of the game. First, you fight him in order to get into this area. Then I was somewhere else, and he was like an optional side boss. And then later on in the game, you fight that same boss again, back to back. And I was like, okay, I'm okay with some repeated and variations of bosses, but fighting the same one, 4 times within the first 15 hours was a little bit much. So who is Code Vein for? I think if you are really into Souls likes, then you've got a really interesting combat system here with a ton of customizability. I think moment to moment combat maybe doesn't feel quite as smooth as others, but again, that customization is going to give you a lot of leverage if that's something you're into. The open world, in attempt to be like Elden Ring, doesn't really hit for me. It seems like they had an idea of what they wanted to do, but never really quite got there. Unfortunately, it's all extremely tainted, at least on PlayStation 5, by really bad performance. And so for that, I can't fully recommend it for the time being. Again, like I said earlier, if you're on PC, Maybe check out another review to see what the status is there. I can't speak on it at all, but on PlayStation, it needs a little bit more time. So that's it. Those are my thoughts on Code Vein 2. Let me know what you think about the game. Maybe you decided you're just picking it up no matter what. Let me know what you think about it, or if you're interested in the game, let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. Let me know what you think about these, single game videos. It's not really a review. It's kind of just my thoughts, but I'd love to do more of these. So if you like them, let me know, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.